But that's like, I'm so serious when I say that there were so many times I just did not want to continue. And this was not physical pain because this was early on. It was nothing to do with right now I can't bear this. It was just the magnitude of the thing in front of me felt so large that I just wanted to not be there. I wanted to be just completely done.
Welcome to the Willpower Podcast.
I made it. 100. Yeah. It's funny. I still don't really feel like, I don't know. I haven't really thought that much about that. It hasn't set in, but it's over and I did it, accomplished it. I suppose the best thing to do now is to talk about it. So let's get into it. So for anyone who wasn't keeping up, I had signed up for a 100-mile ultra marathon last weekend. Last weekend was when the race was. I signed up for it maybe June, July, May. And then I trained for about 5 months. It was a lot of training. Peaked around 100-mile weeks. And then that all came to a culmination point last weekend. So on Friday, we drove over, me and my girlfriend. I had one friend meet us there Friday night. And then I had 2 other friends who were going to be coming Saturday. My friend Jacob met us Friday night. He was going to be one of the pacers. And then good friend Peter was the other pacer who came the second day, as well as my friend Eric. Peter was on this podcast way back. I think he was like episode 16 or something, somewhere around. But yeah, so we drive over to the Houston area, kind of settle in, get everything out of the car, get everything ready for the morning. And yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, didn't know what to feel, what to think. I remember I didn't have caffeine that day because I wanted to kind of save that as a boost. So if I didn't drink caffeine Friday, then I knew Saturday when I did have caffeine, it would affect me more. And so I kind of was trying to increase the effect because I knew Saturday I would need it more. So Friday, I was a little bit grumpy and just like not in the best mood because of that. And since then, actually, I'll talk more about this, but I was able to drop my caffeine consumption the past week, and I feel like it's at a much better place right now where not having caffeine doesn't affect me quite as much as it did that day. So anyways, Friday, I'm not feeling great mood-wise. I slept in a little more than I meant to. I wanted to wake up early Friday so that I'd be ready to go to sleep early, and then Saturday would be a smoother wake up and transition into running. So it doesn't go great. Friday night, I sleep all right. I remember I have dreams about running the race. I have a dream that I do it and I'm done. And then I woke up and I was like, oh shit, I'm not done at all. It's time to go. I gotta go run now. And I have the whole thing ahead of me. So I have one of those dreams. Carson drives me and I tell her about the dream and she actually tells me something that really gets me in a good headspace because she says she could hear the disappointment when I recognized that it was just a dream and that I still had the 100 miles to go. She said, don't think of it that way. Like, this is an amazing thing you're getting to do. And it's something that very few people can do or have done before. So that changed my mindset a little bit and got me a little more excited for what was ahead, which was basically an insane journey, like a very, very difficult journey ahead of me, a day-long experience that was going to test me. So she drops me off at the start line and I didn't get there too early. I don't like to get to races and stuff like that super early. I know some people will go like an hour ahead and warm up and whatever. I'm not that way. I hate standing around waiting and thinking about when it's going to start. And so I got there like 10 minutes ahead of time. So I basically just walked over to, I think I peed, and then I walked over to the start line and just hung out, moved my feet around, like warmed up a little bit, and then waited for them to start us. Completely pitch black, 6 a.m. and we get going. And right at the start, I'm feeling all right. The one thing that I started to notice right away was my water bottles were a little annoying. I had like a thing around my hips, one of those holders, straps, and I had put like plastic disposable water bottles in the containers because they were bigger than the ones that came with it. And I quickly realized that might be a problem because they were kind of bouncing around. But then I just pulled it up, tightened it a bit, and it was fine. The first loop, each loop was 16 miles. The first loop was not too challenging. I followed my technique of running, walking, running, walking. I would run a mile and then I would walk until I hit the 10-minute mark. And then I would run and then I would walk until I hit the next 10-minute mark. And that kept me in a really good pace. There were a number of people that I was running around that I would like run past them, walk. They would pass me. And when I start running, I would pass them again. I would walk. And so there was like 6 people that I got kind of used to running around for that first loop. And yeah, things went well. I was drinking a lot of my electrolyte and carb mix. That was the one thing. So those water bottles that I had on the pack, I had 2 half-liter water bottles, and they had the carb mix. So they were 200 calories each. And I was really drinking them like pretty hard because I was trying to stay ahead of calories, stay on top of that. So I was probably drinking like one of those every 30 minutes, 2 per hour. And then at the 6-mile mark, I was able to refill with some of their electrolytes. But yeah, I was really drinking them pretty heavy. Get done with the first loop, still on good pace. I don't even stop to sit down. I just kind of go by. Carson and Jacob are still there, and they give me some new water bottles. So I get the new mix. So I've already had 400 calories, and I get 2 new bottles. It's around maybe mile like 22 or 23 that I start to feel the effects of drinking all of that so fast. And I kind of thought this might happen. And basically what happens is I start feeling just like my stomach is upset. Like whenever I'm running, I can really feel it. It's very uncomfortable. It's not, I don't know if it's exactly nausea because I didn't quite feel like throwing up. I just felt very uncomfortable running. So that goes on for a while, to the point where at mile 25, I break my 10-minute pace. Like that's the first time where I hit the point where I couldn't keep the 10-minute miles. And that's because I'm walking more. And so right at 25, I'm at around a 10-minute overall. And then I lose it going forward. And so that lap, I'm doing maybe 11s, a couple 14s. I'm still moving. I'm still like when I'm walking quickly. My body still feels fine other than my stomach. So I kind of just like power through that lap. Get to the end of it. The end of it is 33. So that's 2 laps done. And at 33, I sit for 10 minutes because I'm basically trying to nullify this problem, which is my stomach is fucked up. My stomach is bothering me. And if I keep trying to like walk and run, it's never really fixing itself. It's staying kind of where it's at. And so I figure if I can just sit, let it settle, then I have a better chance of getting back out there again and being able to run a lot farther because my stomach isn't messed up. So basically like I'm going to address this problem now with sitting. And so I sat for 10 minutes and that actually really helped. I stopped drinking the electrolyte mix that I had brought, the carb one, way earlier, around like mile 23. So I was already off that and let my stomach settle. And we're kind of back. Like I'm like, all right. And I leave the waist strap, water bottle holder, whatever you call those things. I leave that then. And I'm like, I'm just going to hold the water because that's how I do my training runs. I'll be good just holding it. Sometimes I'd have shoulder issues doing that, but I figure if that happens, I'll figure that out when it comes. So I'm at mile 33 at this point, and I'm a third of the way there. And I'm also at the longest run I've ever done, ever. So that's a weird mind fuck because like on one hand, I've done 2 loops already. I'm a third of the way in. On the other hand, this is the farthest I've ever run before. And I'm just like going into uncharted territory and I have 66 more miles to go. I have to do this 2 more times. So that's weird. I try not to think too much about the details of that, and I get back out there, get back on the road. Do that third lap. I think in that third lap, I end up having to walk a bit more, and that's probably still stomach related. I don't think it's too bad, but it's definitely a factor. So I don't think that the stomach issue completely went away at that lap. I honestly don't remember that much of that third lap. I don't know if anything, I think it was just the stomach was settling, and then it was I get through that one. And I sit down at the start where we had a chair set up, and I'm talking to Carson, and she's saying something about like, oh yeah, you've already done 30 miles. And I go, Carson, I'm at 50. I'm halfway. And she goes, wow, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, 50 miles. But at the same time, again, it's like, okay, I ran 50 miles. Now I have to do that again. I have to do that whole thing again. So I've got another 50 to go. This is when things start to get fucked up. So the beginning of that lap is good. I have, oh, by the way, I forgot to even mention this. Early on, probably like the second lap, mile 20, 25, there are so many thoughts going through my head about quitting. Like, I think once, maybe the first lap feels nice because it's like you're just running, it's kind of like add up the miles, you see them going up. Once I got to a certain point, once I got to like 20, 25, then I began to realize the insane amount of miles that I had to run, and this like insurmountable feeling of how much work was left just would like overcome me. And so I really wanted to just not do it. I wanted to be done very early on. It's like, can I just be not doing this? This isn't fun anymore. I don't want to be doing this. And there was a very weird like dynamic going on in my head, which was this few realizations at once. First, I really don't want to be doing this. I want to stop. I want to quit however I can. At the same time, recognizing that if I take a break, if I stop, if I give myself like that, if I let myself stop and let myself not do this for a moment, every moment I do that is a moment that I'm not running, and it's going to prolong this thing that I don't want to be doing. So yes, I don't want to be doing it, but if I stop now, then I'm going to have to continue, and then I'm going to have to do it for longer. So I might as well just continue. 3, if I stop completely, I know that I'm going to make myself do it again. So this realization of like, okay, I've already done 25 miles. If I stop now, I'm going to have to do this whole thing again, including the first 25. So I might as well just keep going because I already got through the first 25. But that's like, I'm so serious when I say that there were so many times I just did not want to continue. And this was not physical pain because this was early on. It was nothing to do with like, oh, right now I can't bear this. It was just the magnitude of the thing in front of me felt so large that I just wanted to not be there. I wanted to be just completely done. Another thing that kept me going was, of course, knowing that other people had come to help me. Like the fact that 2 people came to pace me to run laps with me. It's like, okay, I need to, like, they came here to run also. They're only running 1 lap. I'm running 6, but still, they came here to run that lap. And so I'm going to give them that. I'm going to make sure that they get to run their lap. So I'm going through all this type of shit, still moving. We're back at mile 50 now, jumping forward. Mile 50, things are going pretty well. This is when I first put on, actually, this is the only lap where I wore headphones. So every other lap was no audio, just running, movement. Oh yeah, and caffeine was probably like mile 30, I think. And then around mile 50, I had more caffeine. So I actually didn't have that much caffeine. I had about probably 220 milligrams total, which is not a crazy amount for, like, that's one energy drink. So the fact that, yeah, that was all I had was kind of crazy. But a big reason for that was my stomach issues. So my stomach issues were happening, and I wanted to be having some caffeine to give a boost, but I couldn't drink that much or that quickly. So I had to go easy on it. So mile 50, I got my headphones on. I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm running, and things are going pretty well. And then I hit mile like 60. Around 60 is when things start to get a little bit dicey. So I start noticing shin splints. This is the first big like physical pain thing I'm noticing. Early on, I could feel my hips felt a little weird. They were kind of hurting more than normal, but not too bad. They were just a little bit uncomfortable, but not to a point that they were actually impeding me or impacting me. It was more of like, okay, this could become a problem later. And the hips never became a problem. But mile 60, the shin splints really started to kick in. So at this point, I am running and walking, and I'm walking when the shin splints start to really hurt, and then I try and run as much as I can. I had noticed something early on when the shin splints first started to pop up, which was that they actually didn't bother me as much when I was running as when I was walking. And I think it has something to do with just like the way that I run. The form of my running probably doesn't impact them quite as much as my walking gait, hits those muscles that get aggravated that we call shin splints. Mile 60 is when it gets really bad. And that's when I'm like, it's more walking than running. So even though I had realized early on that the running didn't hurt as bad, at this point I was like, okay, now the running really hurts too. And the walking, for some reason, I feel like I can stomach that pain a little bit better. And I remember walking in like maybe mile 62, 63, I was like, okay, I'm just going to like, just whatever happens. I'm just going to run a little bit. And I think the pain will go away if I get my legs moving. Like that was my thought process, was like, this hurts really bad. I know when I start running, it's going to hurt really bad. But if I keep moving, I think the pain will kind of go away. And then I'd run like 10 steps and just be in agony, and then give up and be like, no, that didn't work. I'm going to keep walking now. This is bad. This is getting really bad. Mile 66, when I get to the end of that loop, I am in bad shape. I'm like, this is when my pacers come into play, the last 2 laps. So mile 66, Jacob's going to be stepping in, and I'm in really bad shape. I tell him like, hey man, I don't think I'm going to run anymore. I think I'm probably going to be walking the rest of this thing. So we're just going to like power hike this and see what happens. I'm a little bit behind my original goal, my time goal, but I still have my 24-hour safety goal to hit. So yeah, me and Jacob start. I take an ibuprofen and some acetaminophen, and Carson sprays my shins with some like numbing stuff that she found from someone else. And we start moving, and we're walking. I can't walk fast. I realized something at this point as well, which is that when I go from not moving to walking, or when I go from walking to running, it's extremely painful. It's much more painful to switch than to just, if I'm just running, I feel a little bit better than when I'm going from walking to running. Walking to running fucking sucks until I get used to the running and my legs are moving. So we start walking. I'm in crazy pain at this point, just walking. I am walking at a very slow pace. I'm probably like sub 20, probably like, or above 20, I should say. I'm probably at like a 22-minute pace that I'm just limping along at. Jacob asked me like, hey, what would happen if you just like started running? What do you think? And I was like, I literally don't think I can do that. So we keep limping along. I try walking backwards. And it feels quite a bit better, actually. Feels better than, and this was kind of like a joke. I was like, let me try it. Felt a little bit better. The shin splints it doesn't hit them the same way when I was walking backwards. And so I could do it, but it was so like super slow. And also I couldn't see where I was going. And it just it didn't seem like the best idea. But it was funny, and it's interesting that it doesn't do the same thing. Walking forward hits the shin splints. Walking backwards didn't. So I stopped with that. And then probably like 2 miles in, when we're walking along, I'm like, I'm going to just try. I'm going to try running. And I start running. I start like the slowest run you've ever seen. Like my stepping so slow. I'm probably running at like a 17-minute pace, but I'm running. And that's something. And I realized at that point, like if I'm doing 20-minute miles, I am not going to hit my 24-hour. If I do 20-minute miles for these remaining 33 miles, I am not going to hit my time. That's going to take way too long. So we start running. We start moving along. We're going at a very slow pace, but I'm running. Yeah, the rest of that lap was just like brute force, just getting through it. There's something kind of still defeating knowing that I had another lap to go. There was this girl who was running who, in that second to last lap, she actually lapped me. She was one of the people I'd been running with in the beginning, where I was passing and then walking and they would pass me and I would pass. And at the time, I remember thinking like that she kept running. She didn't walk very much. And I was like a little bit curious whether or not she'd be able to keep that up. And from all the times I saw her, she kept that pace up the entire time. She ran an incredible race. So on that second to last lap for me, I started it and she passed me right at the beginning and it was her last lap. So it's a weird feeling when you know that you have 2 more laps to go and they're finishing up. But it also was nice to see like the end is kind of in sight at this point, mile 66. So we get through that lap. Not a ton stands out other than that's the first lap that I do completely in darkness. So it's like getting into the night. We started around, I think maybe 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. So it's fully dark. No, probably 8 p.m. And yeah, we get through that lap. And then the last lap is with my friend Peter. He's going to be pacing. I'm not really sure why, but for some reason, I just feel it's like running that lap. I think it's because like on that second to last lap, kept like everything we would pass by. I had already run this same loop 4 times. Everything we would pass by, I just would remember that I'm going to have to go do this whole thing again. So like, oh, I remember this part where there's a bathroom. I'm going to have to run by this again. This is not the last time I'll be here. This part with the tower, I'm going to have to run by this again. Oh, this aid station, I know I'm going to be back. I'm going to have to run by this one again. And it was so demoralizing to just remember like, oh, I got to do all this again. And so that last lap, I had that freedom of like, this is the last time. So everything I was running by, it was like I was checking it off. Like, okay, this part, that's done. This part, that's done. Okay, this part, okay, I'm done with that. Every step I took, every part of the path that we went down, I knew as soon as I get through this, I'm never going to see this part of the path again. Again, it's like I'm checking off these little pieces along the way. And I'm like really chopping down this thing. And I can imagine it now. It's 16 miles. It's not like, oh, I have to finish the 16 miles and then go again. So that last lap, we were moving. We were running much faster than I had been in many hours. So I realized after the race, there were 2 things that my pacers did for me. So Jacob, he somehow got me to run. I was not running. I didn't think I'd be able to run the rest of the time. He was the one who got me in that, just like 0 to 1. I was not running, and then all of a sudden I was running. That was huge. Peter was the one who like pushed my pace. So he didn't say anything about it. He didn't do anything, but he would stay slightly in front of me. And so anytime I would speed up at all, he would make sure he was keeping right in front of me. And that was just enough to like push me to just keep moving. We got into a really nice flow. We kind of just like stopped talking and just focused in. And that was the first time during that whole race where I got really like dialed in to the moment, super present and just in each step. It felt like I was in this like mindful bubble of just like, I am just running, run. Nothing else existed. I wasn't thinking about what mile we're on. I wasn't thinking about how much was left. I just existed in my body. I was just running. And that lasted for, however, maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles. But I knew that it was there. I knew it existed. And for the rest of that lap, I would try to bring myself back into that presence, into that feeling of just being in this moment of running. Yes, there's pain. The pain exists. It's there. But there's no story around it. There's no questioning how much farther I have to go. There's no boo-hoo me. this sucks. There's none of that talk. Just the pain, it just exists. And I just exist. I just am running. So me and Peter, we are moving. And we get to, I mean, it's a whole journey to get to the point where we're at the second to last aid stop, where we have about 5 miles to go. And we stop, we get some water, we eat, and there are some people at that aid station who are destroyed. They're like dejected. There's a whole table of people with their heads down. I hear them talking. One of them's like, yeah, I got another lap to go. So he's got to finish this one, and they go another lap. They're one of them's like, yeah, this is the struggle bus. And he was talking about the table. Welcome to the struggle bus. They're having a tough time. They're not doing well. One of them's talking about like, oh, how do I quit? Do I have to do anything, or do I just leave? It's not good. And I am so glad at that moment that I am not in that place and that I am just moving. Because again, they're just sitting around the table. None of them are moving. I think every single one of them is just contemplating, how do I get out of this? How do I quit this? Again, I had those thoughts the entire race. I probably still did at this moment. Not quite as strong, because I knew, like, I have to get to the end. There's not really any better way to get there. I couldn't really quit at 6 miles out because I have to run all the way back. So I know I'm going to have to go do it. Those last 6 miles, you would think, like, or last 5 miles, not even 6, 5 miles left. You would think, okay, this is just like the victory lap. This is the fun part. Bring it home. Let me tell you, that shit sucked. That was like, those 5 miles were probably 5 of the hardest miles, I think, that I ran. And a big part of it was because of that anticipation. And this is something I've experienced with a lot of other things, with Vipassana, with other, like, anything that's challenging, that is very, like, drawn out, where there's a lot of anticipation to finish, like endurance feats, anything like that, which I would include fasting or Vipassana in that. It's like when you get close to finishing and you start thinking about how close you are, there is a trick your brain will play where it tries to be done. It starts thinking about what it's like to be done and wanting to be done. And that will fuck you up, because then there's that constant switch between, oh, I'm so close to being done. What's it going to be like when I'm done? Oh, it's going to be so nice. That switch. And then the realization, oh, I'm not done. I'm not done, and I have to keep going. And I'm still in pain, and I still have to keep running. Those are the two things that really those hurt every time you switch between those. The desire to be done and the realization that you are not. And so I'm bouncing between those. We walk a little bit because, I've got so much pain. I wanted to just run the entire 5 miles. We go about half a mile, and then we walk a bit. And then I think from there, we're able to just turn it up. And I told Peter, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and run as far as I can. I'm going to just try and keep going. And we're going. I'm in pain. Like, every single mile, I'm counting it down. Cannot wait for it to be done. I don't think I really felt good until the final mile. I would say that's where I was finally like, okay. There was also another guy who I had been running with earlier when I was doing the walk run thing, where I kept passing and then going behind. I saw him ahead of us, and I was like, I got to beat that motherfucker. And he was so nice. He was the nicest guy. Every time we would cross, he would say, hey, keep going, brother. Great job. Great work, brother. But of course I'm competitive. And the fact that we had been running earlier, I knew he was on his last lap. And so I was just like, I'm going to try and beat him. And so that pushed me a lot. So I'm like really pounding the moving. And he's still running at this point. And I'm able to pass him with like maybe 2 miles left. So then I'm like, okay, well, I can't let him pass me, because I'm sure he noticed me. He might start to try and turn up the pace a little. And so then I'm like, okay, we gotta make some space. Just get to the point where he's not even thinking about passing me, because I don't want to have to do like a end of the race, like sprint off. That wasn't what I was interested in that moment. And so I just keeping a really solid pace, and we end up just running the last 4 miles. The last mile always felt really long, every loop. and it felt super long again. But for whatever reason, because there are all these little checkpoints where I'm like, okay, I remember this part. This part means I'm almost to the point where I can see the end. And once I could see the end, that's like a huge point where I'm like, okay, wow, okay, this is actually happening. And then I get to the end and I finish and got my friends, my girlfriend waiting for me. Seriously, at a point here where I did not think I would get to. Like there were many times during the race where I could not imagine actually finishing this. It felt like I was in this like purgatory that was going to just go on forever, where I'm always moving. I never get to sit down. I never get to truly rest. I always know that I have to keep moving. And I've made it to this point where I'm like, oh, I don't have to keep moving now. I can rest. And that was incredible. And I did some kind of shitty push-ups as a funny little gag. That was those were surprisingly easy. I couldn't believe my upper body just was completely fine. And then took pictures and we went back. And this entire day, I'm not tired. I'm not sleepy the entire day. Like I said, I didn't have that much caffeine. And it's now almost 6 a.m. It's like 5:15 a.m. And I just am not sleepy. And I don't know what it is about the human body that, like, when it's just pushed and it just knows this is the job I have to do, like, I just didn't get sleepy. I never felt like sleeping. I never wanted to sleep the whole time. But then, as soon as I get in the car, we're driving back to the Airbnb, and I close my eyes and my brain just shuts off. It's like immediate, just asleep. So that was funny. It's like I didn't feel sleepy, but as soon as I closed my eyes, my brain would just turn. So that was the race. Then comes the recovery. And this is almost like, it's not nearly as hard. Like, recovery is not something that, it's painful and it sucks, but it's not the same. It's not like an active thing that I had to choose to continue doing. And I'm still in that process. Right now, as I'm recording this, it's been a little bit over a week. It's been 8 days since I finished. And the biggest injury I had, the worst thing that I've been recovering from, was my shins. So like, the fact that I had like intolerable pain in my shin splints, or in my shins, the shin splints themselves, at mile 60, and then ran for 40 miles on those same shins, just like repeatedly beating them up. I felt that. I feel that still. And that was insane how much that fucked me up. That was like, I couldn't bend at my ankle in any direction. I had to keep my feet absolutely still. If they moved the slightest amount, I would feel the craziest pain in my shins. Like pain, like heat. This insane pain that would like, yeah. And so I can barely walk. When I do walk, I have to like hold my foot in place and lift it. And I can't let it, if I like loosen that muscle or relax that muscle, the foot drops and then it's pain because it's moving at the ankle. So I have to just walk without letting my feet. But then that means I have to hold the foot up with that shin muscle. That's also very painful. And then when I'm trying to get on the couch, I'm trying to like lift my legs up. My hips I can't lift my leg up with my hip. I have to like lift it with my hands. And so Carson is an angel, and she helps me for the 2 days after the race with just like everything. I literally can't do anything. I can't get up. Getting up the stairs was, I don't know how we did that. It was impossible. I had to scoot up them on my butt sideways. Each foot had to be pulled up with my hands, and then she would help me. I would push up with my hands and she would pull me back to the next stair. It was horrible. It took us about 10 minutes to get up one flight of stairs. She would push me around on my desk chair, and I couldn't lift my feet off the ground, but I also couldn't let them slide on the ground, because if they bent at all, I knew how painful that would be. So what we did is we put a board game, the top of a board game, on the ground, the lid, put my feet on that, and that could slide. And so then my feet would stay in place without moving at all. Because again, if they just bent, I'm fucked. If they bend at all, any direction, I'm fucked. It's over. Everything we do, it's just horrible. And she gets these compression socks. And by the way, my feet are huge. My ankles are like, there's no ankle. It just goes straight down. It gets bigger at the ankle than at the shin. My feet are like blown up. They look insane. They look like balloons that, yeah, never seen my feet. My feet right now, like when I look at them, I think they look insanely skinny. I can't believe how skinny they look. And that's just because they're not swollen out of their mind. So yeah, she gets these compression socks. Putting those on is a nightmare. Like horrible. Yeah, that takes a while. It takes like 10 minutes per sock to try and slowly pull it up, pull it down one by one. Then, yeah, fuck, that was horrible. Going to the bathroom, she has to wheel me over, and then she helps me get up, and then I stand, and then she leaves me alone. That was my one bit of dignity I was able to save. It was like I peed by myself. No other dignity was spared. And then she would wheel me back to the couch, and that's where I would be. So I was on the couch for, I think, 2 days straight, where I couldn't get up on my own. Tuesday was the first time that I was able to actually get up, and I showered on my own, and then I was able to walk downstairs. This was while Carson was out, and I wanted to surprise her. And so I walked downstairs, I went outside, and I just stood outside, waited for her to get back. Yeah, and that was crazy. It's crazy what the experience of losing freedom of mobility, freedom to move around, it changes things. And even just talking about this now, I almost like already forgot about that. I already forgot how much different life was for those 2 days where I could not do anything. I didn't have the ability in myself to walk outside or to go get in the car and drive somewhere or even go to the bathroom. Like I didn't have the ability to do the most simple things, the things that we take for granted every day. And that changes you. That changes what life is like. So that's one of those, like, you know, you never take your health for granted until you never appreciate your health until you're sick. It's the exact same thing here. There's so much that I don't realize how amazing it is. I don't appreciate till it's gone. And I'm stuck on the couch for 2 days. Can't move. Can't even lift my fucking leg up. Like, again, I have to lift it up with my hands. Even when I'm on the couch, I couldn't like go from laying straight with my legs straight to having my legs up. I can't even do that. I had to lift it with my fucking hands. So yeah, that was insane. How, I don't know what, like if that muscle was just incredibly inflamed. It felt like it was just like, yeah, something like the muscle just got fucking assaulted and destroyed. And it was like, what the fuck? And it was trying to fix itself. Couldn't figure it out. So where we're at now, still definitely sore, still definitely feeling those shins are still definitely hurting. Like I can now bend my feet pretty much in both directions. But if I try to flex my foot, so like lift it with the shin muscle, I can still really feel that. That's still pretty painful. My Achilles is also pretty sore. And one of my knees just recently I started to feel that. So I'm still pretty beat up, but nowhere near as much. And I have to have my freedom now. I still have to limp around a little bit when I'm out, but I can drive. I can go to the bathroom. I can move around, all that stuff. So that makes a huge difference. There was something else. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I think the biggest takeaways from this entire experience was just the presence. So the presence in the midst of a challenge is like key. That's super important. Whatever kind of challenge it is, for a couple different reasons. One, when it's something endurance focused, where endurance is the difficulty, presence, and not letting the mind go too crazy, working through scenarios and thinking about finishing and wanting to be done. Being present doesn't allow that. And it makes the challenge exactly what it is. So an endurance challenge is no harder than a normal challenge in terms of the physical nature of it. Like if you got a super like injured guy who had shin splints and you just said, okay, run a mile. That's the same in like physical challenge as running 100 miles, like get at the point of 99 running to 100. But for me, those last 5 miles felt like super hard. They didn't feel like I was just running 5 miles. They felt like I was, trying to finish a 100-mile race. And so that felt a lot different. And that's because I wasn't fully present in what I was doing. I wasn't fully present in just the running the steps. So things get a lot harder when you remove yourself from the reality of what's happening, what's actually happening, the process of just running, experiencing pain, taking the next step. So I think that's huge, is just being present for endurance. The other way being present plays a role is in like more skill-based challenges. And that's because the more you get in your head, the more you're going to be fucked. The more you can just trust yourself, let your body do what it knows how to do, let your brain do what it knows how to do. Just be in the moment. Presence is the key in challenges, in completing challenges, getting through challenges, whatever you want to call it. And then the other big takeaway was just, it's not over till it's over. Don't play around. Don't start telling yourself that you're almost there. Whatever it is in life, like recognize where you are. For me, that's like recognize where I'm at. Don't daydream too much. Don't get ahead of myself. Realize I am here right now and I am where I am. Done yet. It's not time to rest. It goes hand in hand with presence, being aware of where I'm at. But I think that holds a special place in terms of not being over. Things are not over until they are actually over. And that really came up in this race because I thought I was done. Like my brain was going back and forth. It was like, okay, we're done. We're not done. What's going on? And yeah, that added a lot to the struggle. Just accept how things are. Be in the moment. Allow things to be. Maybe enjoy them a little. All right, we'll wrap it up there. This is a bit of a longer solo episode. They're usually not this long, but hopefully it was interesting in some way to hear that whole story. And we should have some interesting episodes coming out. I know I have a few set up for the new year, so it may actually end up being another solo episode, but we'll see about that. Might be another check-in, see where I'm at a couple weeks from now. All right, bye everybody.